Hey guys, this is Tom Box, and today we are doing our year-end segment, the top tier timeline of 2023, where we cover all of the competitive aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh! From set releases, ban list drops, and all the most important decks all the way back from January to the December of now. And this is a very long segment, and it does take a very long time to make, so I appreciate if you guys hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, and ding that notification bell. Thank you for doing so. And you know what? You guys can use this to summarize how your year has been. I know I'm not going to cover every single deck because my format here is set up for like 5 to 6 decks. If your deck is not there, it's probably because I'm choosing some of the more popular choices at the time. But you guys can feel free to leave a comment down below. And without further ado, let's begin. January 2023, we're looking at the spillovers from December. We have a Yugioh Tournament. Wow, it feels like forever ago since this deck has been played at this level. I mean, you can play Time Wizard November 2022 format, which would have been the most dominant format where we just got the release of Magnificent Mavens, whatever. But yes, this is still one of the most dominant decks because you had 3 of every single Yugioh Fairies, and you have 3 of every single tier limit name, which made it the most dominant deck. Go to Chainlink 15 for all I care. It is insane. You either played this deck, you loved the format, or you hated the format and you just skipped it entirely because it was just not easy to play if you didn't know what you were doing. But Bystials were definitely one of the key factors because you can play Bystial, Dragon Bystial, because you can stop those Yugioh guy, well, the ladies from fusing off. So that's one thing. Those mermaids going back into the deck, as long as you can get rid of them, they don't fuse. So Dragon Bystial, a big part of the format as well. Flaunderies, D-Shifter added in, and then there's also Runic Naturia, if they can take off. I think this is where their takeoff point at this time, if I remember correctly. I know there was a lot of Runic decks, and there's also Sprite. Sprite Bystial was also a big part of it because every deck ran Bystial. That's just a fact there because even the Yugioh Tournament people also played it. Now, in terms of side set release, we had Amazing Defender. This was a deck build set which gave us Rescue Ace, gave us Pearly, and gave us Makonko. 3 of these which are all failures at the time because they were overshadowed by Yugioh Tournament. They were not impactful, which is really hard to say right now because we know all of these decks all have YCS titles under their belt. So in terms of our champions, we have YCS Sydney, Jesse Cotton, taking it with Yugioh Tournament. We have Remote YCS Latin America by John Guerrero Sanchez with Bystial Sprite. Again, you need the Bystials to play. So you're not gonna guarantee the win with the Yugioh Tournament, but it definitely gives you a solid edge. So let's move on to the next month. February was a very influential month for TCG Yu-Gi-Oh! We got the core set, Photon Hypernova, we got a structure deck, Beware of Trap Tricks, and a ban list all dropping in this month, which reshaped the first half of 2023. Now, I gotta split this particular month of champion into kind of 2 sections. One would be before the ban list drop, and the other ones being after. You can see that in YCS Leon, Chris LeBlanc taking it with the Yugioh Tournament, Team YCS Mexico City, Christian Arena, Walter Jewell, Arnold Nadaban, all took it with Yugioh Tournament, like, because that deck was so dominant. Although I personally would have jump ship to Cashier right away. I've been playing that deck, just been testing it even before they came out in OCG. That's just how I like to practice it if I believe in a deck. And so, you know, probably people did not get enough practice with the deck yet. However, with a bump with the ban list, which basically knocked Yugioh tier off of their throne and let Cash tier take over, then you notice the Team YCS Las Vegas, Dominic Couch, Steven Silverman, and Alexander Cancel all took it with Cash tier. And for that event, Dominic Couch also demonstrated the 5-zone lock. So Cash tier became this game of cat and mouse, where every single time you try to like beat them, they'll find a different strategy to play, and you always have to chase the format. But that comes up later on. In terms of the most dominant deck for the first half of Yugioh Tournament, we also had Branded Despia. Remember, for Branded Despia, they still had their ability to just lock you out by using either the Raw, Disciple, or the Gimmick Puppet stuff. And it was super easy to do. Cashier did not dominate right out of the gate. Labyrinth still super strong, and Sprite's going to be that one deck that has so many variants throughout the entire timeline that I can't really cover them all, but we got Runic Sprite, Bystial Sprites, and Nimble Sprite. They're all kind of in the same package because this is, the Bystial stuff was absolutely necessary during the tournament time. And even though Sprites did not play Cash Tira, a lot of them did load themselves with Cashier Fenris, because Fenris is such a good card. In terms of the ban list, what were the main hits? What really knocked Yugioh out was because all of their cards were limited. All the tier limit fusion cards, all of them were limited to one, so you did not need so many counters just to beat that one deck. And there was also a ban on Artifact Scythe and the Barrier Statue. I guess Barrier Statue was probably one of the least fun elements of the entire thing because it really did shut down the entire play. Cashier also had a way to bring out the Bird Statue as well, which was also pretty nasty. So yeah, things got pretty out of hand when it comes to like all these floodgate ass monsters. But that was February. Moving on to March. Now in March, well, not too much have happened. We got Maze of Memories, which gave us the Gate Guardian stuff. But mainly, I think one of the key cards that they released would be the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. That one was probably going to be a game changer later on when we get more and more rank 10s. And it was also a very key cards during like the Super Heavy Samurai time. It also gave us a Baron reprint and a Guardian Chimera reprint. However, there was only one key event that was notable here. I believe it was YCS Lima in Peru, and John Guerrero took it with Adventure Sprite, which is very, very surprising. In terms of the most dominant deck, Cash Tier was definitely there. We also have Branded Despia, Runic. Runic was still Runic Naturia, and there was also Runic Plunder Patrol that was also added into the mix. They did receive a couple of tops there. And Labyrinth is still Labyrinth. Labyrinth is going to exist the entire year. I'm just going to give you a spoiler alert on that one. And sprites, we have Runic Sprites, Adventure Sprite, because Adventure Sprite won, and we also have Nimble Sprite, but every single package at Nimble. I don't think we have fully introduced Melfi's into the picture yet. In April, we have the release of the 25th anniversary Legendary Collection, which lets us open some of the vintage packs, but I think most people were mainly focused on the YCS taking place that month. The 250th YCS taking place in LA, Bogota, and London. Our champions of each of these events, Polly Aronson with Cash Tira, we have Esteban Velasquez with the Cash Tira as well, and then we have Samir Bochar with Sprite Melfi. A little bit of a different take. Usually in Europe they do play a little bit differently, and decks like Rikas and Avalon is definitely a lot more powerful, and perhaps they're just more dominant pilots on that side. Shoutouts to Jessica Robinson. And I would like to note that this was the first time in LA that I got my commentary gigs. Now in May, we got quite a bit of a shift here. We got the core set of Cyberstorm Axis added into the mix, which introduced Super Heavy Samurai and also pushed Pearly into the meta realm. Cashier was still super dominant, and it's an easy go-to. It's such an aggressive deck with such high stats and force people to play a certain way. It definitely wasn't easy, but Super Heavy Samurai also had a 1-card FDK, and I think people showcased it a bit too much. The cards came out at low rarity, and for good reason, because they definitely did not survive for very long. Pearly being the first archetype with an amazing defenders to finally show some promise, but people already knew that because OCG was already playing it. Runic right now has mainly shifted towards Naturia because the Naturia stuff is just so strong and highlighted by Pack time and time again. Labyrinth still very strong. Sprite now going kind of full throttle into the Runic for Hire Sprite as one of the more dominant plays. However, there's still the Nimble Sprite stuff, there's still the Live Twin, they're still all available. It's just these are some of the more popular ones that have been seeing more success, and I think in Europe they're definitely showcasing it a lot more. In terms of important releases in Syac, we got Perlily, so now that you have the tiny one, and you also got Sleepy Memory, you got the little black cat and the Sleepy Memory, which gives you a ton of draws, which was ridiculous at this time. I think they were at full power. And so you have both your Sleepy Memory and Delicious, and we're gonna see how that thing played out. It was definitely very dominant. And Super Heavy Samurai, ridiculous. It was just probably not fun for a lot of people for a very long time. Dissipator was released here. Lulu with Lilith, Chaos Angel, one of the biggest game changers for the later half of the year, and we also have Gold Pride starting to make a bit of a rogue splash, a tier 2s deck. Champions, YCS Santiago, Eddie Alba with Cash Tira, and YCS Philadelphia with Dennis Nadas, Cash Tira. Again, Cash Tira is dominating even with all these new releases. And into June, we got 3 major things happening. We got a side set of the Wild Survivors. We got the Battles of Legends set, which was more focused on the reprints this time around than anything, which also gave us a lot of cool stuff. We also got the ban list June 5th that took place. And we also got our remote YCS North America, Steven Santoli with Exorcisters. And Steven Santoli is going to make himself a very big name throughout the rest of the year. In terms of the most dominant decks for the season here, or for this month, we have Cash Tira still, Pearly, Branded Despia, for Higher Runic Sprite, Labyrinth, and Dragon Bestial Link. Bestial Dragon. I don't know how you guys want to call it. Now for Wild Survivors, Vanquish Soul is probably the main thing there. But the ban list here, what happened in the ban list? It was quite a significant ban list that knocked out a lot of these decks that were previously very dominant. First of all, we just got access to the Super Heavy Samurai stuff, and they get immediately crushed because their Scarecrow, their Link one, got immediately banned, and then Mind Hacker got banned, which opened up everyone's extra deck. So you don't need to play 2 copies of everything because Cashier is not going to look at it and rip it apart, which also took away their capacity to zone lock the crap out of you on turn 1. They're no longer going to be able to do the 3 zone lock. It's very, very hard. Arise Heart got limited, so they got to be a bit more conservative, be a bit more careful how they play their Arise Heart. Maybe play the trap card, maybe not. That depends on how they play. Circular got limited, so the Mathmech players also got, took a pretty significant hit here. I don't know what you want me to say. It's probably Joshua Schmidt's influence on that one. Gamma got hit, which was a hit to Sprite because they played triple emergency teleport for the extra level 2 body. And people can't use Gamma now, so that part hurts. For the people that were playing Naturias, the Sacred Tree got hit to 1. Pearly got their Delicious Memory hit as well. And Runic Fountain got hit to 2. So really, really targeting towards that that Naturia Runic stuff. But anyways, we're going to move on to the next month. In July, we have the WCQ season, and the main set of Duelist Nexus was not part of it. Just to kind of get the set aside here, Infernoble, Brand of Chimera, and Unchained were all released in this particular set, or rather the upgrade for Infernoble, but it was still regarded as a not so great set. I don't know why, but these were all meta impactful stuff later down the line. So you guys gotta let me know, how do you guys score Duelist Nexus? But in terms of the WCQ season, the meta decks, Kashtira, Pearly, Branded Despia, the usual suspect, Dragon Link, Labyrinth, Sprites, all variants, and Runic Sprite probably being one of the more popular ones, and also Runic for Hire Sprite, Rika Sanavalon, and Exorcister. These are the key decks. In terms of the representatives that went there, I want to give a shout out there because this is where they earn all of their invites. These are the competitive people that went via the TCG route. We have Enzo Fielos, Polly Aronson, Jeremy Mitchell, shout out to you for winning the WCQ-NA. We have Lars Bergquist. Steven Santoli starting to make his name here, very, very well known by this time. But we have Gerardo Varela, who I believe you told me you just came back for this season for WCQ, and you just immediately made it to World. So, congrats to you. We have Carlos Ramirez, Juan Mateo, Augusto, Pastor, Roberto Ars, and Santiago Lopez. I apologize if I butcher any of your names. Jessica Robinson, Christian Stefan, Emil Wolfgang Thomas, and we have Joel On. Pleasure meeting a lot of you people out there. Oliver, Rafik David, Newton, Azmutali, Dinkaboy, Gabriel Susi, which I always had the pleasure of meeting at Worlds, Jonas Theodore Koshel, Kunlan Lai, and Po Jiang. And in August, we have the Soul Burning Volcano set drop, but more importantly, the key event of the entire year, which most duelists dream to play at, the World Championship 2023. And in the TCG category, no one else was better than Polly Aronson, the very first US-based world champion. Took it home with Dragon Links, piloted that deck supremely well. Although there were a couple of mistakes here and there, he definitely recovered and he took it all the way, becoming the very first US champion. Now, in terms of the other event, we have Master Duel Champions. We can't let that one go because it was quite the dogfight, and that's gotta be Joshua Schmidt, Quantal, and Emery taking it home for being the very first world champion for Master Duel. So congratulations to both Polly and Joshua's entire team. Okay, for September, we have the Tin release, we have Crimson King, and we got a new ban list, and Dune is finally taking shape. We're starting to see the Dune cards in competitive settings, such as YCS Vancouver, with Jesse Cotton taking it. I believe that is his 6th title with Unchained. At Team YCS San Paulo, we have Ruben Penaranda, and we have Kamal Crooks, and Pacoat, which is Pac. With the following decks, we have Bestial Dragonlink, Pearly, and Unchained, and YCS Kangoo. We have Andre Keys, Curioso with Fluanderies. I'm kind of surprised that we saw Fluanderies, but Fluanderies, you can't underestimate that deck. Everyone thinks that it's so linear, but Fluanderies is 100% all about the micro interactions and the micro timing that you have. If you time it right, you'll disrupt them super, super hard. In terms of the most popular decks at this point, now that Dune has been released, we have the Rescue Ace Preventer, which made Rescue Ace a popular deck as well. Not the strongest at this point, still very good, but you know, it's one of the more sacky ones. I believe Quanto played Rescue Ace at YCS Vancouver. We have Pearly also very, very dominant, one of the more dominant decks. I believe that is like Chris LeBlanc's choice. We have Tearlaments found a way to pick themselves back up. I don't think in September they were that strong. Dragon Link, they were ridiculously strong as well because they were a counter to the Unchained strategy, mainly because of Druid Swarm. Unchained is really, really strong, and Vanadium started to really take off in terms of their comboing. October was a huge month thanks to Age of Overlord. We got Sinful Spoil stuff, we got SP, Horus Package, Xiaolong, Rescue Ace just dominates a lot, and every single amazing defender archetype takes a YCS title. In terms of our champions, we have YCS Dortmund with Julius Schwarzkopf with Rika Sun Avalon. YCS Indianapolis, I still struggle to say that, even though I commentated on that one. Steven Santoli, I'm getting better, okay? I'm getting better. And Steven Santoli, this is the third mention this year already in terms of like top spots. That goes to show that his name, if he continues going down this route, he's gonna be a household name in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! He played Sinful Spoil Rescue, showcasing how strong that was. And I believe that was a mirror match during that, so Sinful Spoil Rescue Ace is going to be one of the most dominant decks for the rest of the year, basically. And YCS Santa Cruz de la Sierra, Michael Verissimo with Mekonko. And Mekonko already made a big showing during Indianapolis because Exception's a feature match where he just switcherooed, well, not switcheroo, he basically used Geonator Transverser and swapped his Acid Golem to the opponent, and the opponent can't get rid of it, which also opened up for a lot of attacks from the Mekonko side. It was just ridiculous, and it was the true use of Ken and Gen. Now, in terms of like crazy cards, I think I already mentioned the Simple Spoil stuff, Rescue Ace, Dominates, do we have Visas, Samsara. Like, a lot of these decks are now really dominating thanks to the Tearlaments, Pearly, Rescue Ace, Unchained, Vanadium decks, but there's always going to be a deck that kind of shifts in and out, and at this point I think it was Infernoble really making a spot as being the second combo deck of the format. There's a great variety of stuff, but I think one of the key cards here is SP. SP just changes the game for everyone. You always have to account for SP. Now, in terms of competition, not much happened in November, but November dropped the hottest product of the entire year, Rarity Collection 25th Anniversary. That is just an incredible set, and it was followed by Valiant Smasher. What a hard act to follow, because Rarity Collection was just so hyped, and even now I still want to open more Rarity Collection. It just blinged up everyone's deck, made decks just so much more affordable, especially when it comes to the staples. I don't know what to say. I hope that we get more of these in the future. I doubt that we're going to get one until like much later. I'm going to take a guess like 30th anniversary is probably when we get the next Rarity Collection. I think that's how they're going to set it up. I could be wrong, but that's just my guess, okay? Don't quote me on this. In terms of ICS champions, we have Joseph Bellafiore, and with Unchained. Again, Unchained can, you know, go toe-to-toe with the best of them, with the same decks basically dominating with a little bit more Mekonko thanks to the Mekonko performance from the previous month. And finally, we've reached December with one key structure deck release, the Fire King one, which is actually very, very good. And there's a slight shift in the meta thanks to one of our world champions. We have Joshua Schmidt with YCS Balon taking the title with Runic Bestial. I didn't really think that this was a thing, personally. I was playing online. I saw it a few times online. I did get crushed by it. I just thought that maybe I didn't understand the matchup, and clearly I did not understand the matchup, and it is a very strong thing. And again, shifting the meta right at the end of the year, Joshua Schmidt, you're definitely quite the GOAT yourself, I have to say. So again, congratulations for finishing the year with a huge win. Again, the decks still Rescue Ace, Pearly. Now we have Bestial, Runic, Infernoble, Unchained, and Vanadium. I see a little less on the Tearlament side, but maybe it's just the popularity. Maybe it's just like, you know, shifting of the sand a little bit. You know, we're just filtering out some stuff, but that deck is again still part of the top decks of the format, so don't underestimate them. And that's it for the top tier timeline. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you can consolidate. I know I didn't cover every single deck, and I think in the future I'll probably cover more decks and include more decks, because Yu-Gi-Oh is moving in a direction where it's no longer just like a 4-deck format, a 5-deck format. We're going to a point where it's 7 to 10 decks at a time per format. And all of these decks are capable of taking the YCS title. Sure, some definitely are more favored to win. I'm not going to say it's evenly distributed, but there are chances where a very skilled pilot of a certain deck could just take the title. And we've seen it time and time again this year. So for this time, I'm just going to only include 6, but next time I'm going to see if I can include more. Or maybe you guys don't watch this segment enough. I just won't do it again, and you guys will have to keep track of it yourself. But I'll probably keep track of it myself for now. And thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Happy holidays. Wish you guys best of luck. Open your packs, bless your packs, and I'll see you all in the next one.